Viv, what are you doing? So, Viv, 2 weeks? 2 weeks and you do an offering? The special play-in? You're going to do it for an offering? What? Did you want to play so somebody else can sing it, or are you just playing it for like an offering? I thought you were just going to play it for an offering. You can just play it for an offering if you want. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. 2 weeks. Hey, Leah, can you remind me? In 2 weeks, Viv is doing an offering. Huh? No. All right. Okay. Let's get started this morning. If you would please stand with me and turn to, what is the number? 118. Turn to hymn number 118. Joy to the World. We'll sing all 4 verses this morning. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ. Let fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. Repeat, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows glow. Thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow. Far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love. Good singing this morning. You may be seated. Welcome to church this morning. I'm sure you're excited to be here as I am. A couple of announcements. We've got our Christmas party coming up on the 15th, I believe it is, and I believe Brother Jeff is bringing the meat.
No.
And it's no, okay.
Be in Alaska. I had plans, but
Well then.
last minute. Sorry.
Well, hey, it's all right. It's a potluck. Everybody brings something.
One guy said he was going to bring the meat.
Okay. There we go.
So it's all in
Either one way or the other, it was Jeff bringing the meat. So, so if you will be preparing and getting ready for that, and then Pastor is out this morning at Foundation Baptist Church, getting to preach there. So we're excited about that. That'll be, I think, Pastor's first service in the new building. So his first opportunity to get to see it all there. So that'll be good. That'll be fun. And he's there with Christelle and I think Anna as well. Christelle's sick. Okay. Well, keep Christelle in your prayers then. Didn't know that. So we'll pray for Christelle. And then this morning, because Pastor's out, I get to preach the main service. But right now we're going to have Brother Johnny come on up. And he's going to preach for us this morning.
All right, let me turn this on real quick. There we go. All right, thanks for coming this morning. If you're new here, I would encourage you to come back again when our pastor's here. We were just talking about on Wednesday night how good his preaching is. You know, it's just he's so good. I have so much respect for our pastor, and it's an honor and privilege to preach while he's out. But he's definitely really good at handling the Word of God, much better than me or Nick would ever be. So I encourage you to come back to hear him sometime. So turn your Bibles to 1 Timothy chapter 1. And while we're turning there, we'll just pray and get into the message. Dear Lord, thank you so much for letting us be able to come together this morning to hear your word. Lord, I pray that you'd be with me. I pray that you give me the words to say. Help me to preach what it is that you'd want people to hear, and not my own words or ideas, Lord, but I pray that you would just speak through me. In your name I pray. Amen. So, foundations. When I was 20, let's see, I must have been 23, 24 years old, young and stupid. I had the opportunity to purchase a house. I had gotten pre-approved, and I was not a smart kid. I was not a smart kid at all. But I was working at Boeing at the time. This is before I got into real estate as a profession. But I was working at Boeing as a mechanic, living paycheck to paycheck, and just like barely making ends meet. This is how I was. Not because I wasn't making enough, but because of the spending habits and just, paycheck to paycheck is how I was living, right? I had 2 kids and wife at the time, and now I have 4 kids. But we were just barely making it, and someone approached me and said, "Hey, you need to buy a house." I was like, "Yeah, right, whatever, And he's like, "No, you should buy a house." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, And he just kept bugging me till finally I'm like, "All right, I'll go see your lender and see if I can get pre-approved for a house." I didn't even know what any of that meant, but I did. Got pre-approved, and then I was house shopping. So I remember, back then, this is 2011, 2012 time, which at the time houses were incredibly cheap, and there was a lot of them everywhere, and nobody was buying. And so we're house hunting, and I'm looking at this as a dollar amount. Like, I can get a house for $40,000, and my payment's going to be like $300 a month. This is going to be amazing, right? Because at the time we were paying $1,200 a month renting, and so I'm like, the cheapest I can go. So I remember we went into this house, and I'm excited about it. I'm thinking price tag. This is so cheap. This is going to be great. We walk into this house, and it looks great. I mean, like fresh paint on the walls, It had a roof, and it had rooms, and it was, big enough for my family. But you walk in, and you ever walk into one of those like optical illusion rooms where you put a ball and it looks like it's going uphill, but because the whole room is actually tilted and you just don't realize that. This is what this house was. You're in there and there's my notes. You're in this house and you're looking and you're like, I think that wall is at like a 90-degree angle. That's so leaning. And then the other wall's leaning the other way. And the whole house looked like, it was falling over, and then they just painted over the top of it, And the house had literally no foundation. I don't know what they decided to do, and I don't even know how old the house was. It was an old house, but it was falling over. The foundation was not good, right? So with that in mind, of having a proper foundation, in 1 Timothy chapter 1, Paul's talking to Timothy, verse number 3. He says, "As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some that they teach no other doctrine, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions, rather than godly edifying which is in faith. So do." So he's telling them, hey, I've given you a task. You're supposed to be over this group of teachers and pastors, and your job is to make sure they don't teach other doctrines. Doctrine is teaching, if you're going to teach something, that is a doctrine, right? He's saying don't let people be teaching other things. So by that, we kind of get the idea that you can teach something that's wrong, right? It's not like everything is good. It couldn't be right and it can be wrong. And then in Romans chapter number 16, Romans chapter number 16, and verse number 17 says, this is also Paul, not talking to Timothy, talking to the people in Rome. He says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine wherewith ye have learned, and avoid them. For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple." So he's saying, hey, there's some people that are teaching wrong doctrine, right? Wrong, they're saying things that are incorrect, right? So we've got to understand that not everything that is taught is okay, and not everything that people believe is acceptable, right? Just like a house's foundation is vital, the foundation of our beliefs are also vital. And you can have a good foundation for what you believe, and you can have a bad foundation, right? So it seems like there's been a lot of different ideas have come my way lately. There's this one about the Bible's view on gender and gender equality, and this was the premise. Well, God made the land and God made the sea, but there are some areas where they connect, where there's marshes, where it's both land and sea. So therefore, the Bible teaches that there's more than just two distinct genders. There can be a mix of the two. Which, that line of thinking fits that person's, what they want to believe, but is that really what the Bible says? No, it's not. It's absolutely opposed to what the Bible says, and it's an interesting thought, but its foundation isn't based on reality, isn't based on what the Bible actually teaches, right? There's this idea of everything's okay. You believe what you believe, and that's okay for you, and you believe what you believe, and that's okay for you. But really, the Bible isn't I've said this before, but the Bible isn't a book of one-liners that you just apply to however you feel like it fits. It's actually like letters written by people to people in a context, right? So if you are reading it and you're getting something out of it that is completely opposite or not at all related to what the author is intending to the audience he's talking to, if you're completely detached from that, you're not, that's not what it says. That's not what he said, or that's not what that person, that's not what Paul said to Timothy, or that's not what Jesus said to his disciples, or whatever the case may be. You got to keep things in its proper context. Otherwise, you're not reading the author's intent, right? Anyone can make anybody say anything if you just cut, what they say, just take one verse and apply it to something totally different than what they said, right? That happens all the time in politics. That happens all the time, all over the place. Another thought that someone brought up recently is that the only thing that really matters is success, right? They're talking about their experience in life, and they're going through life, and they've come to this understanding themselves that they don't believe in the church or God because it's a great success model for the church, but it doesn't bring them success, so therefore it's useless to them. So they're going to pursue this over here, where they found that, well, that doesn't really bring them success. It helps other people, but not them. So I'm going to go pursue this over here. And they've found a belief system and structured this belief system on, well, this brings me success by my own definition, which is, wealth and influence and things of that nature. And that's the guy's life model, right? And it's interesting. That's probably a lot of people's life model. But what is the foundation of that belief system, right? You got a conversation I had, I guess not very recently, this past summer, with another person I love, who we were talking about this show we had gone to, and there's dancing, and it just, women dancing that were provocative, and it was too provocative for my taste, for what I think is good for me as a married man, and my wife felt the same. So we said, we're not going to go. It's fine. You do your thing. We'll hang out over here, and we're going to go do something else. And he thought, well, that's just ridiculous. This is totally acceptable behavior. No one's behaving unacceptable. No one's doing anything, and the conversation went a bunch of different ways, but it eventually got to swimming and my kids, right? Swimming is a normal thing. I remember growing up, and I've dealt with this as a kid a lot. People, let's go swimming. No, I'm not supposed to. Parents say I can't go. And I'm like, why? That's so weird. That's so backwards. And then as an adult, there's a lot of things that I grew up with that I think, maybe I don't necessarily land at the exact same spot that my parents landed on a lot of things. But with swimming, that's one of those things with my kids. I remember being a boy, going through puberty, and there was never a time where I could go to a swimming pool with girls in bikinis and not, lust after women. That just, I don't know if it's just my Italian blood, but it seems like it's every boy. I'm pretty sure it's every boy, unless there's something terribly wrong with them, right? That just is what it is, and there's two differing views, and we were talking about this and going over, and he's trying to understand my point of view, and it's so foreign to him. You can't just not go swimming. That's ridiculous. And it's like, well, okay, so if this is true for my son, right, he's going to have a problem lusting after women if he sees them naked. That's just something that's a reality. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. It just is true. So should I expose him to so much of it that it becomes callous? Because based on what the Bible says, Jesus said, if you look on a woman to lust after her, you've committed adultery in her in your heart. It's wrong. It's bad. It's not good. I could expose him to so much of that he grows callous, or just say, don't go swimming with mixed company. And that's two different foundations, right? You have the foundation I'm going to follow the Bible, whether it's closely related to what our culture agrees with, or whether it's totally separate from what is culturally acceptable, or you're going to follow the cultural foundation and say, well, this is what everybody does. I think it's fine. I think it's fine because everybody thinks it's fine. When those two things are aligned, like let's say murder. You take murder, you ask anyone in our society, if they're not a psychopath, they're going to say, yeah, that's bad, that's sin. Well, great. The Bible also says that that's bad, that's sin. And it's really easy to have that standard when everyone else also has that standard. But when it's different, when you're different is when it becomes an issue, and you really kind of find out, well, where is my foundation actually? What am I actually standing on? You know, because you can align with the Bible in the ways that everybody aligns with the Bible and think that my foundation's on the Bible, until it comes to something where, what happens when they're not, right? We were just watching a show recently about what would the world be like if the Nazis won World War II, which was super thought-provoking, and it got me interested in different books like Archipelago Gulag, or the Gulag Archipelago, and different books like that I'm interested in reading, and it just got my brain on a certain track of wanting to learn about different stuff like that. But in this show, it was the Nazis had won, and they're in America, and there's things happening that everyone's okay with, like if someone is diseased or sick or something, they just exterminate them, and that's normal because we got to preserve the Aryan race, is what they said, and that was their belief system. That is what they actually were doing. They're like, well, you know, we got to get better. So in order to get better as humans, we got to make sure we don't keep polluting our genes with bad genes. So anyone who's got bad genes, just get rid of them. You know, anyone who's different color, get rid of them. Anyone who's a Jew, get rid of them. Anyone who's and that's actually what they believed, and that's so opposite of, you know, our culture today. But that was actually a legitimate belief system, where they did have their foundation on that belief system and acted according to that foundation. Like, that was actually a thing. And something that's common today is, hey, well, you believe what you believe, and that's good for you. You know, I probably hear that a lot whenever I talk about my beliefs. You know, like, I believe Jesus died on the cross and rose again and is the payment for sin. And there's people I work with who don't believe that, and they say, well, that's good for you. You believe that. That's good for you. But I'll believe what's good for me, you know. You do what's you, and I'll do me. And that's a belief system. But, you know, that creeps into how we act and what we do as well. The reality of the situation, right, is that truth, it doesn't change. Turn over to Luke chapter number 6. Luke chapter number 6, verse number 46. This is at the end of Jesus' famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount. But the idea of all these different foundations, right? There's a lack sometimes when we talk about different belief systems of the discernment of what is actually true, right? What is actually true? And I'm not gonna get into all the reasons why. I've preached before, and it's a different topic, different sermon about why the Bible is true, why it is okay to believe the Bible. I've preached on that before. Pastors probably done a lot better job than I would have ever done. And we're not talking about that today, but really, we're all here on a Sunday morning. Probably most of us have the foundation of the Bible is true, right? So we're not going to go over that right now, but in Luke chapter number 6, verse number 46, Jesus says, "And why call ye me, Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock, and when the floods arose and steam beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth. against which the stream did beat vehemently. And immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. So hopefully all of us in here, we understand that we ought to have our foundation on Jesus Christ, right? Our foundation ought to be biblically based foundation, but a lot of times what we act doesn't always follow that line of thinking. So I'm sure we have family members, loved ones that are not saved, that are not Christian. And it's really easy to get to a place where you say, well, you know, my sister is you know, married to another woman, and they're doing their thing, and it's completely apart. This is hypothetical. It's not my sister, you know. But say that's the scenario, and you say, well, you know, I love them, and it's all good, and it's fine, which we ought to love. You know, it's not opposed to the Bible to love your sister, regardless of whether they're doing good or not. We should love them anyway. That is what Jesus taught. But you know, the truth of the matter is that sin has consequence. If the Bible is true, sin does have consequence. And we can go through life thinking, well, no, I'm doing good by saying, hey, you know, I'm going to love you despite, you know, I'm not going to, you know, bring up any tension or anything. But here's the reality of the situation. Jesus paid for sin. So if we go through life avoiding the topic of sin, and we act like everything is okay, that person's bound for hell. That's the reality of the situation. Jesus died on the cross to pay for sin, and her sin is paid for just like mine, just like everyone else's, if she accepts Jesus as her payment for sin. But if she lives in this idea that, well, you know, it's not sin, it's okay, you know, you believe you, I believe me, you get to the end of your life, you know, and truth is still truth, right? It doesn't matter what she felt about it, truth is still truth. If there's a train coming and it's going to hit someone, and you go to that person, but they look so happy. They're so happy playing on the train tracks. They don't even see the train coming. They have no idea the train's coming. It would be mean of me to grab them and pull them off the track. That would be a terrible thing. They would be offended at me. I don't want to do that. You know, I feel terrible about it, so I'm not going to do that. Is that a sane thing to do? No. If there's a train coming, you're going to pull the person that you love off the train track so they don't get hit by the train. There's a train coming. Okay, let's all, if the Bible is true, there is a judgment seat. There is a penalty for sin, and it's not fun. It's not good. It really isn't. So how are we actually living? We have this foundation we know is true, and we know we ought to operate within this foundation, but how's that translating into everyday life? Do we compartmentalize? We say, well, in this area, you know, I'm going to act accordingly. I'm going to, you know, have this form of entertainment, you know, that may or may not line up with this foundation, but that's different. I'm just, you know, I'm compartmentalizing this, and it's not even associated. You know, my relationships with these people, with these loved ones, with these friends, you know, I have this relationship, and yeah, I know it's not really on that foundation, but it's different, right? We can do that and end up every area of our life. We're sit here where we say we have this foundation that we operate our life on, but then we don't, you know? Do we actually operate on the foundation? Are we actually, you know, operating upon the foundation of Jesus Christ? If you're a Christian in here today, man, that's our responsibility, right? It really shouldn't be up for discussion. It should be something we do. And I'll close with this. I was with my dad for Thanksgiving, and he's talking about this time he got to go on a trip to Ireland, to the Isle of Man, and go watch these motorcycle races. He loves motorcycles. And these motorcycle races are nuts. Like, I forget, like 2 or 3 people die every year on these races. This is crazy. This is just absolutely nuts. But it's this tiny little island that's only accessible by boat. And so it's once a year there's this big race, and he gets on this race, and he's with his best friend, who's Gary Matheny, missionary to Romania. And they're on this boat, and it is packed, right? This is a ferry, and there's like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. The population of the island I think is around 5,000, and for this event every year, there's over 10,000 people that come to this island, right? So like just double the amount of people, and they're all bikers, right? So you have all these big burly biker guys on this boat, and there's not enough room on this boat, and so you have my dad's in a seat, and there's, he's so tight. We've got 2 big guys on either side of him. He's got no place to put his arms. So he's just kind of like sitting there, and it's a 6-hour boat ride, right? So he's sitting there like, oh man, this is going to be some trip. And there's some people standing, right? This boat is packed. There's people on the floor. Gary, my dad's friend, he's on the floor, and he's sitting, towards a wall, but he has enough room to stick his legs out, and he's sitting there, and at least they're not standing, right? And so they're there, and it is smelly. He's telling me this over this past weekend. He's telling me the story. And they're sitting there on this boat, and all of a sudden you hear he heard over the loudspeaker, Rich Farinella, come to the whatever quarters. And he's like, what? Did I hear my name? Rich Farinella, come to the front. And so he goes to the front, and he says, what? And he's like, oh, we have the suite up here in the front that's paid for you. It's all you can eat. You have this wonderful view, nice relaxing chairs. They bring you food, whatever you want. And we have 2 seats for you and whoever's with you. And he's like, oh, this is great. I didn't realize this. It's already been paid for. I'll go get Gary. So he goes back to get Gary. Gary, come on, I got to show you something. And Gary's like, I'm not moving? What? No, I'm not getting up. If I get up, someone's going to take my spot, and they'll be standing. I'm not moving. He's like, no, Gary, come on, let's go. And Gary's like, and he's got this twitch. Oh, man, we're live streaming. I hope he doesn't watch this. But he's like, no, I'm not moving. I'm not getting up. And my dad's like, come on, let's go. And he wouldn't move. He had to like convince him, no, listen, there's something better for us over there. Let's go. And he wouldn't move at all. And it's funny he's telling me this story, but that's so true about us, about life. You know what I mean? Because God has great things for us, right? Like following the Bible, sometimes it may not feel super great to put your foundation on Jesus, especially when it's counter to culture. And you're like, I really don't want to be looked at like I'm stupid. I really don't like it. It's not fun. And we sit there and we are worried that, man, what are the ramifications for following Jesus? Well, he's sitting there saying, I got something so much better for you. Just follow me. Just come on. And we sit there and we do the same thing. Where we're sitting there like, I don't want my crowded spot on the floor. I'm sitting here and I got it, and I'm worried about what'll happen if I follow you. And we don't want to make that choice to follow Christ, but man, following God doesn't ever. I've never once decided I'm going to follow Jesus and then been like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Never happened. You know what God has for us is so much better than anything else we can ever hope to have. You know, it's amazing how good God is to me and how much he's blessed my life and so undeserving of it. I've literally everything I have. It's like, why do I have that? Well, Jesus. That's why. I can't take credit for any of the things that really matter. I can't take credit for them. You know, that's all God. That's all just God blessing me. And yeah, it doesn't seem so wonderful, you know, to step onto that ground and say, this is where I'm going to plant my feet. I'm going to follow Jesus, and I'm going to make my decisions in life based on a foundation of Jesus. And what does the Bible say about how I should operate my life? That seems scary. But you know, at the end of the day, it's so much better. It's so much better than any other decision you could possibly make apart from Jesus' plan for your life. It just is. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for all that you've given to us today. Lord, I thank you for what you've given me, for my family, for what you've blessed me with. Lord, I'm so undeserving of what you've done, Lord. I thank you so much for this opportunity to preach. Lord, I pray that it would have affected someone's life and help someone to follow you, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, you are dismissed.